Now we shift focus to talk about a rather tragic, you could also say devastating, state of affairs all the way in Sawum, where a pedestrian bridge, is near collapse. Nothing is being done about it, and it's become a sort of a death trap. There's no bridge at all, I understand, and that's, for residents in the area, they've raised very serious concerns about the state of it and how it's causing major problems in the area. So we'll take this report by my colleague in the ChannelOne newsroom, Sarah Pia, and we'll be back to shed some more light on it. Don't go away.
Commenced in 2023, the Ofankor-Pokuase in Sawum Highway has seen major construction works to ease the burden of long traffic hours and congestion on the road. However, construction slippage has been a major source of worry as motorists as well as residents are made to grapple with dust-filled atmosphere, worsening the case especially during the dry season. At Festus, an area of the Ofankor-Pokuase stretch, the dust may just be the least of their problems as vehicle-pedestrian crashes have seen a sharp increase. On this side of the highway, 2 sets of lanes have been constructed, with each set leading motorists headed for either Accra or Amasaman. However, despite the extensive width of the road, there is no viable footbridge to help pedestrians cross over to either sides of the road. Sandra, a teacher who frequents the stretch, shares her plight with crossing the road with ChannelOne News. She recounts her harrowing experience of witnessing a devastating crash involving a father and his son.
It's dangerous. Our life are at risk, but we don't have a choice. That's the only way we have, so we just have to use it like that. I was going across the road to buy something, and then I witnessed a car knock. Like 3 people at a go, yes. And one was almost lifeless. We carried them into a car and then they were sent to the nearby hospital. It was a man with his child and then one other woman at a go. And that was my second time witnessing something like that. Even if the road was not fully constructed, if this bridge is done as soon as possible, to go a long way to save the lives of people, they could be breadwinners and their families would lose from they losing their life.
Despite some arguable opinions claiming that pedestrians will fail to use the footbridge like is the situation on other highways, Beatrice, a pedestrian, dismissed such claims, stressing how dear her life is to her and would rightly make good use of the footbridge when completed. She called on authorities to do the needful.
And I am my everyone, mamma, I didn't know how pants on Baptist on the child look when one day I know to move. Mimi said they make out and present me with you. Yes, my.
For weeks now, a number of persons have fallen victim to these vehicle pedestrian accidents. This sparked outrage among drivers at the Festus taxi rank, making them carry out a protest by blocking the highway to drive home their concerns.
Last week, ever seen that? That's a bunch of us. Full bridge on. I was saying, I'm not full bridge. Not any pan faso. So, see, I'm not saying, bear 2 weeks. Any pan who are yet in trying, Emma, everybody, Emma, account and pay. Taxi union, I Festus. Yeah, I broke a quine. So, I to say, I'm a full bridge, I'm not going for faso.
However, ChannelOne News' visit to the area observed that pillars with iron rods have been erected, which signaled that a footbridge construction was underway, but the project has since stalled. Vice Chairman of GPRTU at Festus Taxi Rank, David Nyakon, attributed the delay to the resistance of the owner of a hotel close to the road to demolish the facility and make way for the construction. According to him, government should leverage its power to demolish the front view of the hotel and complete the project. He further stressed how the absence of a municipal chief executive has only exacerbated the issue and called for swift intervention.
The way I cast near Bonnie Pentaban to me say, Sabe Biomodun, on back clay, say, a dining, now when you're footbridge. You say, my compensate you. Until the entire up to date, no, Omo a man call and Omo market number do we barrow ever far we need a cross road in Abano or 10 cities. So when you say I'm almost break, I say I slow. I'm say changing of government in by Intinabia, I 20 assembly no na who are almost MC.
The lives of pedestrians lie at risk, especially school children who traverse the road on a daily basis to access their schools.
Sauti ye kakrabia na se ka a musku ni a na abo pani ana se abofra. Street light no so a enya adwuma wo ha no. Saade san na ekwa no so ayisu. Eno so moto ana se ka so ba president no mu ase ka abo wo mu. Woni pa bebra e ka se ebubudi a yentimi bo mu nyina din. Ya bi da so da dem bi so di dem. Nti ye besra ba ne se omoye na football di ntimi naso.
Achekwa 3 weeks na ka abonipa ka monipa ni moto abonipa ewa ha obo ha ne nan wontimi entra eyi no na eno so akoye diamond so betima cross road no entiama empenifu bebre ebre entiama ye adwuma no kra no eye ne so ate esan se obo ho okutanye makwa wontimi cross kwa no na ekwa no mu nwie ni ti no one way no kra obo hu na double no we fa nti woni ama ho so bo se oni ka bi ahia.
Assembly member for the Amanfrim electoral area, Alfred Amache, confirmed the allegations of a legal dispute concerning the contractors and the hotelier.
Hotel bi na wo near taxi rank opposite no. Na bem say ho no problem kakra wo ho. Bem say papa no de contractor no kokko say bem say omuntua bem say compensation bi emfa ma no. Ani ntina ma bem say bridge no a twentwen so kakra. Nti de meka no de mema ne kan nyina ne say yesra ban a waban say omomode anon ba ye mae meni huye kra ye nipa be 5 pa emem say ka bom wo ho.
He added that although some individuals assist by helping pedestrians safely cross the road, they leave after a few hours. Mr. Amachi gave his assurance that a task force will be established to help pedestrians cross safely in the interim during the day and in the evenings.
Taxi rank chairman no eba chance na ye hunkwan be fa so a ebetimi aboye manfo no man e fa nimre so de work task force no me chairman be chance aka na me odidi so chairman me kan obeti asem ye nipa bi e say benya photo kakra fi taxi rank mo no de tua sa nipa na obetimi agina ho no.
Road users here at Festus are urging the government to expedite the construction of the footbridge to allow them to easily cross the road. Now, although a session say that construction works here have stalled due to demolition concerns regarding the hotel, which is right behind me, they are urging the authorities to at least make available some crossing guards or road safety officials to help them cross the road, especially for school children. For ChannelOne News, I am Sarah Apia.
Wow, so we've been joined by my colleague in the newsroom who filed this report, Sarah Pia, and also the chief resident engineer for the Pokuase in Sawam Highway project, which we are being told is causing a nuisance as it stands now for motorists and road users because some compensation hasn't been paid to some project affected persons. For which reason, a bridge is not or has not been constructed, and it's causing, major problems for residents in the area. So our resident engineer for the project is in studio, thankfully. He'll be sharing with us some insights into this as well, give us some assurances and timelines as to when this will be done. But before I even come to him, Sarah, good morning and welcome to Sunday Breakfast.
Thank you very much, Jude.
I saw you file the report, I know what it means to file a road report.
I know, right?
It's not easy. But that was excellently done.
Thank you.
Great. What were pedestrians saying to you? Sometimes when you file these reports, a lot of the things they say, you can't even put all of it inside, right? Just in a nutshell, share with me what their major concerns were with regards to the Pokuase in Saram Bridge and the state of affairs on the project.
So their major concern, Jude, was the fear when it comes to crossing this road. Most of them are afraid that, I'm going to cross this road. Probably they've had a lot of instances where people have been knocked down on countless occasions. Some have been witnesses to these situations. So it's quite scary. And interestingly, the way I even came about this particular idea for the report I was just doing my own thing on Facebook, and I came across this video, and you can hear people wailing and everything. And I was like, what's happening? So I realized that someone has been knocked down. And then there's the second video that came up that showed that there's actually a structure that suggests that construction of a footbridge is underway, but it has stalled. So that actually piqued my interest. What could probably lead to the stalling of the project? So I had to just go there, have to be on ground. I went there one evening after work, and the whole place was dark. There's absolutely no street light. So I was scared for myself, even being there, you know.
Wow.
Because I have to cross to the other side to where the taxi rank is and also engage these drivers. The whole place was just dark. So I was quite scared for myself. So I can just imagine what pedestrians or road users also go through. But interestingly, when I did the report, Jude, one thing I gathered from them was there have been no vehicle pedestrian crashes in the evenings. Although the place is
it
quiet.
magic? Is it by magic or just sheer luck?
I have no idea. There have been no accidents there in the evenings. It normally happens in broad daylight, but that also does not rule out the fact that it can happen
in the
evening. So it's the fear, you know, pedestrians crossing. It's quite scary, I must say.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how about road markings, road signs? Did you see
No,
any of
there's
that?
none.
Interesting.
Unfortunately.
Ejina Bempong, thank you so much for coming. Sunday breakfast. You know, we sneaked out of your home on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't easy to do, but we are so grateful that you could join us. Is it really the case that there are no street lights on the road markings, you know, making it difficult for motorists and drivers to ply the stretch? Is that really the case?
Well, good morning and to you and to my dear
Sarah Pia,
for bringing this to the attention of the world. And the first comment that I would like to make is to empathize with those whose families or those who have lost their loved ones. It is something that we are also witnesses to, and at all material times we have tried as much as possible to ease the pain, especially for crossing such a multi-lane road. And as you are aware, from Ofankor all the way to Eja, Herbal, thereabouts, 2 kilometers, 2.4 kilometers. We have a dual carriageway, 2-lane dual carriageway, and service roads on either side. Then when you jump beyond Pokuase, we have a 3-lane dual carriageway and 2-lane service roads. So by and large, crossing 10 lanes, you know, is going to be a challenge. So we have made provisions for 10 pedestrian crossings and 1 underpass. You know, the underpass is at Eja Herbal. Now, we also must note that this is a road under construction. So by and large, you don't expect that vehicles or motorists will be traveling at certain speeds, because in such areas the speed limit is 30 kilometers per hour, which makes it easier.
But are there signs to
indicate
that?
I'm building because you need to get the basis so that, yes, there are temporary signs. That's why I said it's not a completed road. It's a road under construction. So whatever you find there are only temporary. So you might have a wooden board saying that 30 kilometers per hour, or this is an area for crossing and stuff like that. We don't have road line markings. We only had some temporary. Of course, most of them would have been done using emulsion paint. Now, until we are able to complete the surface, we cannot put in permanent road markings, neither would we be able to complete the road signs and the other road appurtenances, such like the street lights which you mentioned. But let me dive into the specific issue, which has to do with the crossings. What she said is true.
That's
what she reported about the fact that we have not completed a lot of the
bridges,
the footbridges. We have 10. We've only completed 3. Others are at various stages of completion. And they are at various, no, the overall is about 60%. But then there are for instance, this one.
No, but if
this
you have
one,
10, if you have 10 and you've completed 3, that's...
It is not, it's not good enough. It's not good enough because of challenges. Challenges with PAPs or persons affected by the project, where at one point or the other there were, court cases, which by the help of our judiciary and our lawyers, a lot of these ones, because they were seeking to put an injunction on our project, but then that didn't succeed. But then during the process of doing that, you couldn't go and demolish properties.
Interesting.
Yes.
We'll come to that, but talk to us about the standard procedure or best practice, right? So if you have a project like this, do you do the consultation and the community engagements, before the project commences or as it's ongoing? Because now we have a challenge where lives are basically at risk, right? Safety, which I believe is a major point for you, number one, I could say. Because what's the point in constructing the road when lives are being lost, right? So at what point do you do the community engagement, discussing some of these issues with project affected persons so as to not have some of these challenges, still linger on? Because now you're talking about bridges not being fixed when we could have fixed it. And the reason now is because compensation hasn't been paid and lives are being wrecked. So my question is, at what point in the project negotiation, right, stage are these things expected to be addressed?
Okay, so it starts right from design, from planning to design, and even when the drawings are completed.
Okay.
And again, I have been part of some of these things in the past, where we even post these drawings, at the district assembly. We bring in opinion leaders for us to discuss. This area we need to do this, because in as much as we are engineers, we are not building for ourselves. We are building for people who are going to use them. And then maybe the way I was taught in school to design roads, in use in Ghana is different. So we need to accommodate some of these, how would I put it, human factors, as we put it. So yes, we have to do that. Then during the construction, we have a team that is dedicated to social and environmental issues. And this team is on ground. And they have opinion leaders within the community.
So with Festus Hotel, the challenge right now, because a bridge can't be built at that point because Festus Hotel hasn't been paid its compensation, you are made to believe. Did we engage them before the project, in the project design phase?
You realize that Festus Hotel has even cut their building. That was not done by us. They did it themselves. You can see that because it is anticipated, because we mark that this area is within the road reservation. Now, you see, when we talk about compensation, I want to be very careful here, because we as consultants are given a right of way by the Ghana Highway Authority, if I put it, that is the engineer. Now, the engineer tells you that this is my bona fide property. You go there, somebody is on and says, hey, you have to move. And the person says, no, this is mine. So then what happens? There's a dispute. And once there's a dispute, per the laws of the country, it can only be adjudicated in the court.
But
now,
this project was to have completed in July 2024.
That's right.
And there was an extension.
Extension up to
right. So
2025.
Is this project affected persons part of the reasons why why has the project stalled? Let me see.
In terms of it being stalled, there is a myriad of factors. One, and that is the bottom line, is our funding. Funding.
So it's not even because, then that means that...
Well, it's all part of it. Funding is part. Now, again, these things are interconnected.
Yeah.
We have to deal with the electricity lines, which are within the right of way.
So utility lines.
Utility lines.
How about drains?
No, drainage is not the reason why it's stalled. We don't have,
because
we've done
I'm
about
seeing
99%.
I'm seeing messages about floods.
Oh yeah,
also
I'll come to that.
When it rains.
Yeah, surely. And there's a reason. There's a reason. When it comes to cross drainage structures, they have been provided, and we have about 22 or so. We've done almost all of them. Okay, so that is about 96% complete. Well, there are other challenges, and the president even talked about the fact that where you have to, what we call the natural drainage channel, some people have built on them. So you now have to find the tortuous part to be able to connect your outfall to the natural drainage channel. But that is not the reason. Now the other issue has to do with water lines. Water lines, we've done quite over 7 kilometers of water lines have been relocated. But currently, the major issues affecting the completion of the footbridges, one are persons who are affected by the project, whether legal or illegal. Because, and as I was explaining earlier on, there's a right of way that has been acquired legally by the government. Okay, now you get there and some people have encroached upon them. What do you do? When we started the project, we notified these people, we gave them time to move, and then we started demolition. So if you remember 2 years ago, we were demolishing those structures.
I think I remember a news story like that. So would you, in hindsight, would you say the July 2024 expected completion date was just not realistic or feasible? Well, with all that we've seen happen now.
Yes, it was probably based on assumption. And you see a lot of the time, some of these times are also dictated by the funding.
So the funding is the major issue.
Yeah, it's dictated by the funding.
And you say, would you agree to comments that now the protracted legal cases coming up has also caused a delay to an extent?
Well, to an extent. But then, as I mentioned, the good news is that some of these issues have been dealt with, even though it has been late in coming. But they've been dealt with. So now we have the legal right to go in and demolish those structures.
So when should we expect the demolition, so the footbridge, at least temporarily, to bring relief for road users in the area?
So presently, I do not have advice on that. This is being dealt with by the the Ghana Highway Authority.
Yeah, but you just mentioned to me that you have noticed that you have the green light, if I get you correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
So when should we expect the demolitions?
Well, let me just also track back and say that for the past 3 or 4 months, the contractor had not been working.
What were the reasons?
He claims that he doesn't have
mobilization.
Not mobilization, he's been mobilized. So
far
as we are concerned, as consultants, we certify work done. Once we certify where we sit, we assume that it's been paid because there's no part of the contract which says that when you have not been paid for, let's say, up to 30 days, you have to stop work. There are processes by which you.
So for 4 months, the contractor wasn't on site.
Well, the good news is that, and this is something, that is why I even came here, because I wouldn't have ordinarily come to talk about.
Share with us the
good news is that we had, a certificate, the minister and even the president himself, and you heard all of us saying that, look, we are not going to abandon, projects which have already been started, and someone would think that because it was started by the previous government. Governance is a continuum. And the good news is that the Minister for Roads and Highways, governs Abuja, was on site himself. And he had seen it, he had called us, he had made sure that
so
we
the assurances.
Well, the other day I saw in the news that he says that he has sorted out the contractor. So once the contractor is sorted, and I've also seen the evidence. Last week, the contractor came back to site and started, placing concrete in the.
So it speaks to the goodwill of this new administration to work to ensure it.
Of course.
This has generated so much interest, right? A lot of messages are coming in.
Yeah.
But still on the point, just for clarification, are you saying that there's the green light to go ahead for the construction of the footbridge?
Well, not specifically. Not specifically.
There's order for the demolition of the Festus Hotel.
No, there's no order. The request by, or they prayed to the court for an injunction. Okay, that injunction wasn't granted. If it wasn't granted, even though the court has not said that we should go and demolish, by extension, it means that we can continue with what we started 2 years ago.
Do you have revised timelines for the project itself and specifically on the footbridges? 3 out of 10 doesn't look good. When should we expect that this will be done? And for the project in itself, share with us the timelines that you have, the revised timelines.
So the contractor was given an extension of time up to July 2025.
Okay.
For the past 4 months, nothing has happened. It doesn't look likely that with the amount of work that is outstanding, he will be able to complete by July. So there's a need for us to go back. Now that funds have started flowing, we expect that there will be continuous work, and if there's continuous work, From where I sit, I believe that even if we give him probably another 8-9 months after the July deadline, he should be able to complete the work. Because as I've always maintained, the heavy lifting has been done. The bridges, apart from the Sawam bridge, most of them are over 90% complete. The culverts are done. The retaining walls are completed. The earthworks, by and large, mostly are also completed. So when we talk about asphalt or what we call the pavement works, they just go very, very fast. A day you can do 2 kilometers. So that is where I have my. And from Monday, tomorrow, we should see the contractor back to site. And the challenge that you raised about flooding, yes, it is because we have our U-drains, even though it is not up to 30-40%, but you have to build the road up to the level where the rains that come, or the water that falls onto the road, will be discharged into the U-drains. Until that happens, then I'm sorry, we will have to.
Can you give us assurances as to when the road furniture will be done, right? So the guardrails, the road signs, at least temporarily. I know you need to fix a lot of it permanently when the road is complete.
Sure.
But in the interim, right, as a stopgap measure, can you give us any assurances when some of these very important road furniture, i.e. guardrails, signage, and all of that will be done? Street lights?
No, street lights, I cannot guarantee that, because
road markings,
comes with a certain infrastructure.
Engineer, you
road
agree
line marking,
street lighting, it's very important, right?
It is.
Visibility at night. So like I'm saying, temporary.
Maybe where there are crossings. Where they are crossing, but along the route, that
maybe you can liaise with the Greater Accra Regional Minister. She's embarking on a very ambitious project to light up the city, especially at night.
That is not the.
But I'm saying that
it doesn't work that way.
But but we also can't keep people in that situation, right? So we should find a way to at least temporarily ease the pressure.
Now you realize that we've installed some of the street lights. Maybe what we can do
so you can do a lot more
on the stretch to ensure that whatever we have currently, are lighted.
And the road markings.
Road markings
temporarily.
Okay.
I'm pushing the thing too much. Nobody
because we've done only 25% of the binder, and I'm even pushing the contractor that when I say binder, we have 2 levels, 2 layers of asphalt. We've done the first one, it's left with the second one, and it's the second one that will even bring us to the level where we can.
So any timelines for the road furniture and the street lights?
The street furniture, as you have,
will be keeping you to your word.
Within the next few days, we should see some improved, because those are part of the safety requirements of the road. So if some have been stolen, or again, we have many other challenges, but that's not. Yes.
People are stealing your things on the project
Oh my goodness,
site.
my brother. Even the Pokuase interchange that was completed, where we have street lights, for a long time they were not working. It's only recently that, I don't know who did it, but then they started, because people have gone and cut all the cables.
Unbelievable.
They've cut the cables. These guardrails that you're talking about, they've stolen them. We've done a report. Even as I speak to you now, if you go, the ones that we
2 days ago, we reported about some.
I saw it.
Yes. Unbelievable.
They've stolen them.
But engineer, thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
And we are so grateful that you could join us to share insights into this, right? Hopefully, we'll be keeping the conversation going. So we are able to get a lot more. And of course, the assurances you've given us.
We are going
Sarah
to
is here.
She'll
be. Charlie, she did on the beat, with no break. But Sarah, just very briefly, right? Beyond the fair conversation, right? Have you been engaging the local assembly, other stakeholders in this? What have they been talking to you about?
All right, so I engaged with the assemblyman for the man from Electoral area.
Okay.
And he also made the same claims that it's due to the hotelier compensation issues. But then he gave me the assurance that at least in the interim, they will provide some people or individuals that will help the school children in crossing the road. So that's what the assurance that he gave me. Have you been to the
place after the rains before?
After the rains?
Yeah.
No.
But what did they tell you about the flooding situation there very briefly?
All right, so basically I didn't get flooding concerns from them. Their major concern was the rate at which pedestrians have been knocked down at that area. So flooding wasn't necessarily an issue for them.
For them, interesting. But thankfully, I've been told.
If I can have some last words for pedestrians and motorists alike. Whilst from our side, we would want to ensure safety of the road. We recognize that we all have to be cautious when we are crossing the road. And there have been situations where we have traffic wardens who will stop traffic for pedestrians to cross. Then you can have a driver who would use the shoulder, speeding across.
Yeah, so
Please,
driver behavior is also...
Driver behavior is, you know, it's a challenge. You know, at the point, we try to block the shoulders so that they keep to the number of the lanes so that somebody who is crossing will know that naturally you don't expect that somebody would overtake stopped vehicles. There have been situations like that.
There are concerns about the China Mall area. You know, they say crossing the road is very difficult.
Again, it's all part of the issues that we're talking about that we've not completed, you know. But then with the China Mall area, I think that the challenge that we had there was the fact that, you know, we didn't provide these pedestrian crossings everywhere. You know, so there are some areas where there are no pedestrian crossings. But then when it's completed, one would expect that you move to the next crossing to be able to do the necessary crossing.
Thank you so much for your time. Right?
Thank you too for
grateful engineer Bimpong, who is the chief resident engineer on the Pokuase in Sawam Highway.
That's the Ofankor-Sawam.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Ofankor and Sawam Highway project. I'm so grateful you could join us to share insights into this. Thankfully, he tells us that the minister is keen on this. You know, Governors Agboja, former minority chief whip, now minister for roads, you know, and highways. He's been on the project to see and ascertain for himself the state of affairs and has committed to work very efficiently and effectively to ensure government pays the necessary attention to this. So relief can be brought to residents in the area. The chief engineer for the project as well, Engineer Bimpo, has also assured us that, you know, the very little work that can be done to ease the pressure would be done to ensure that there's some relief brought to residents and commuters in the area. Earlier, my colleague also, Sarah Apia, who filed the report we discussed, shed light on the state of affairs and the concerns of residents in the area. Thank you so much for all of your messages. Some of them I couldn't ask because of time, but I get the sense that Engineer Bimpong touched on all of this. We'll take a quick break. When we are back, there's a lot more right here on Sunday Breakfast. Don't go away.